Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jamie. If you're new here, I make videos about knitting and yarn and fiber arts and all that good stuff. And today is going to be what feels like a very long overdue knitting podcast. I haven't done one of these in 4 months. I had no idea it had been this long. I feel like I've been keeping you guys in the loop with what I've been working on throughout my knitting vlogs that I've been doing over the last couple of months. So in my mind, I was like, I don't feel like it's been that long since I've done a podcast because I feel like I've been keeping you guys, updated to an extent, but it's kind of just like, I'll just share bits and pieces depending on when I'm filming. But I really haven't done like a proper wrap up of everything that I've been making and that I've finished in the past couple of months all in one video, because I feel like a lot of these projects have kind of featured in different videos, but I haven't done one where I talk about everything all at once and really kind of go more in depth. And I feel like I've been almost like teasing this podcast for a while. I've been like, oh yeah, I'll talk about this more in the podcast, and then I just haven't filmed it. So I'm going to film it now so we can finally be all caught up with everything. And I feel like I'm at a place now where I have quite a few things to share with you. So I'm very excited. A few semi-minor, semi-not minor changes that you may be noticing. First things first. Well, I don't know which one's more obvious. The microphone in my hand or the color of my hair. I think the color of my hair is probably the most dramatic change. So yeah, if you have been watching my videos or following me before this, you would probably know that I was blonde and I'm now brunette. Whoa, crazy. The concept of dyeing hair, I know, right? But yeah, in all seriousness, people might not know this, but this is probably closer to my natural color than what I was when I was blonde. Even though I've been dyeing my hair blonde, I think it's been like since 2017 is when I first started, but that was pretty minor. And then when I was overseas in 2018, I didn't dye my hair. So I would probably say since 2019 is when I've been like consistently dyeing my hair. So that's been 5 years. It's 5 years now, I think. Yeah, over 5 years of dyeing my hair blonde. We've had like, a couple of phases here and there where, I went like rose gold at one point, but it was still very much blonde-esque, blonde adjacent. This is by far the darkest I've been basically since I started dyeing my hair. I've never been this dark in my life, actually, because this is probably darker than my natural color. Actually, it's definitely darker than my natural color, but not much. Like if I look back at photos of when I had my natural color last, like it really isn't that different. I am used to it now. It's been, what is it, like a week and a half since I dyed it. Well, I had it dyed. I didn't do it myself since I had it dyed. And I think I'm finally kind of, pretty well adjusted. I feel like it's taking me longer to adjust than it is the people around me, because the people around me will spend a lot more time looking at it than I will, because I'm not like staring at myself in the mirror all the time, whereas when I'm with people, they are like seeing it all the time. So I feel like it's taken me a bit longer to adjust than, the people in my life that I see regularly. But regardless, I really like it. I'm really happy about it. I was really ready for a change. I feel like I don't want to say the blonde didn't suit me, because I wouldn't have done it for so long if it didn't. And actually the reason I started going blonde was because when I was a baby or like a little child, I was blonde, and then my hair kind of slowly started to get darker as I was getting older. And then people were like, you're not blonde, you are brunette. And I was like, that is not how I identify. Like I've always identified as a blonde. What are you talking about? I am blonde. And like, I probably was somewhere in between, like a very dark blonde or a very light brown, kind of however you choose to see it. Like, I guess it's like in the eye of the beholder. I always saw it as just like dark blonde, but once people started saying I was brunette, I was just like really having an identity crisis. So I decided I want to be blonde again. Supposedly they have more fun. So I started to dye my hair, and it just kind of got lighter and lighter and lighter. And every time I'd go to the hairdresser, I'd be like, I want to go lighter, I want to go lighter, I want to go shorter. And I just kind of got to a point where I was like, do I? Like, I feel like it only looks really good when I'm tanned, which is approximately like 2 months out of the year, if I'm lucky, if I like happen to be able to spend a lot of time in the sun, like if I go on a holiday where the weather is consistent, because it's definitely not consistent here in Melbourne. So if I'm spending my whole summer in Melbourne, there's not going to be much of a tan, because the weather will be like hot one day, cold the next, and you just can't, there's not enough time to be like consistently tanning, or just even consistently spending time outside. I feel like I usually just get the best tans from just like being on holidays and like being outside a lot. I'm not even like lying in the sun, just being in the sun from existing outdoors. So that really doesn't happen that often. And I feel like, yeah, I was just ready to go back to my roots, I guess. A pun was not intended, but anyway, yeah, go back to closer to my original color, my natural color. But I thought maybe I'll go a bit darker because I wasn't the biggest fan of my natural color. That's why I dyed it in the first place. So I thought maybe if I go a bit darker, it'll be more exciting. So that's where we are. Long story about my hair. Sorry if that wasn't interesting to anyone, but anyway, I don't know how long I'm going to keep this. I may keep it for a very long time like I did with the blonde. I also might not. I might end up going a bit lighter. I might end up going back to blonde. I don't know, but this is where we're at right now. Second thing is, I'm assuming you will have noticed by now, the microphone I'm holding. Hopefully the audio is better than it has been in the past. Honestly, this podcast is probably like not the best time to like use this microphone because I'm sitting in the same spot the entire time. And so usually my audio is pretty consistent, but I have been wanting to get one of these, cool fancy microphones that I can like hold and also I can clip it to me. I probably will do that eventually when I start, picking up the pieces and showing them to you. But for now, I'd rather just hold it. I've been wanting one of these for a while. And yeah, it was just my birthday this past like week and a half ago. Same kind of, I got my hair dyed and then like my birthday was 2 days later. So it's all happening. But yeah, this was a very, very kind birthday present from my parents because I've been wanting one of these mics for so long, but just kind of, I don't know, just was scared to like make the investment. And yeah, birthdays are really convenient for that. So that is what we ended up with. And this is my first time filming anything with it. I have like done a few little like test runs with my phone, but I actually haven't really filmed anything on my camera with this yet. So I really hope it works okay. I mean, it's a really good mic. It's from Rode. It's the Wireless Me, if anyone was curious. I've seen like a lot of people have used these. Like they're very popular, so I feel like I can't go wrong with it, and I'm just hoping this turns out well, and that yeah, like the audio is better. It'll be really good for when I'm like vlogging and stuff, and also just being able to kind of like move further and closer away from the camera, and that won't make much of a difference. And also just in general, like background noise and stuff won't be as prominent. So yeah, hopefully the quality of my videos is going to improve thanks to this new little toy that I have. Okay, those are the like big elephants in the room is out of the way, I guess, or the big changes. I will, I guess, start the podcast with talking about what I'm wearing because this is technically one of the things it is one of the things I want to share. One of my finished objects. It's actually my most recent finished object. I finished this, officially I finished it the day before my birthday, so last Saturday, because that was when I bought the buttons. Actually, no, I finished it on my birthday because I sewed the buttons on my birthday so that I could wear it on my birthday. So this is my newest finished object. I will stand up so you can like see it properly. And look at this. Now I can like talk into the microphone and the audio is the exact same. We love it. So yeah, this is it. It's unnamed currently. You would have seen me working on this in my last video. I honestly didn't take photos or like film, other than in those vlogs, any of the process of this cardigan because it was such a hyperfixation project that like I started it and finished it in like 2-ish weeks, like not including the buttons. I think it was like 2 weeks from start to finish. And that is so quick for a project like this. Like I think I knit this on 4mm needles. I'm pretty sure I used 3.5 for the sleeves because my tension's always really loose in the round. So 3.5/4mm needles. The ribbing was on 3mm. So like we're not talking chunky basically. And I finished this in 2 weeks, which is seriously crazy. I don't know how I managed that because I was also starting a new job in this past couple of weeks, like I talked about in the last video. You know, I've had a lot going on and somehow this was just pretty much all I worked on. And I don't know, I just blitzed through it because I was so hyperfixated on it and just really wanted to finish it. So I guess it just shows like even if you're busy, if you just like really are into a project and like basically don't work on anything else, you can finish it in, a short period of time. It also does help to have shows like Love is Blind come out in the time that you're working on it because then it gives you an excuse to binge for hours on end at night and knit for that entire time. So Love is Blind can take credit for a lot of this cardigan. But yeah, I don't have a name for it yet, but it is a new design. So I'll do another show and tell. It has a really cute split hem. And of course, these gorgeous Gorgina buttons. And this actually, Oh no, I just kicked the camera. The placement of the camera is probably going to be inconsistent. Apologies. This is my own design, if that wasn't obvious. I don't really know what my like general inspiration was. I think I just wanted like a really cute, comfy, cozy cardigan for like autumn and spring, like for those in between months, something that's not too thick but not too lightweight, that just is like that thing you can just like, you know, you can kind of just count on it, you know. And I feel like I actually don't have any cardigans that are like, you know, DK weight, like kind of that not super thick weight of yarn, if that makes sense. Like I have jumpers that I've been wearing so much. One of them I'll talk about in this video, but I don't have any cardigans. And I was like, I think it's time for a cardigan. I haven't done a cardigan design in a long time, I guess since the book. And I don't know, I felt like it. So this is what we ended up with. And I'm really happy with it. It's using boucle yarn. It's also my first ever boucle project. I used yarn that I bought secondhand from this wonderful florist that was selling secondhand beautiful hand-dyed yarn for really cheap. I actually vlogged my time there and did a whole yarn haul. That was a couple of videos ago. If you missed it, definitely check that one out because it was just such a fun time to get so much beautiful yarn for so cheap. This yarn is from, I believe it's Chelsea Yarns. It's their boucle base. It's a pretty standard DK boucle that you'd kind of find from like any hand-dyed yarn. Any indie dyer would usually be selling, if they're selling boucle and it's DK weight, it's probably going to be the exact same as this. But the colorway is rose gold and it's just perfect. It's perfect for spring. I love it, but I also feel like it's perfect for autumn. Like I feel like it's a really like multi-seasonal colorway. Like, you know, you've got like the pinks obviously being really spring vibes, and I feel like I've been in my spring mood at the moment. I've got my spring nails and my earrings. Look how cute they are. I can't even. They're brand new. I just got these from She Wore Flowers, who is like my favorite earring maker, designer, business in Melbourne. She's just unbelievable. I have so many of her earrings, and these are one of the 3 new pairs that I got, also with some birthday money. So very excited about that. They only arrived yesterday, so I had to wear them. And just like, I hope you can properly see, like, I hope it's really showing you. I might turn the ring light off for a second. Maybe you can see it better now. I'm not sure if that helped, but look at the little bee and the daisies. They're just so cute. So that's obviously giving spring. And then I've also got my little flower, I think they're flower little clips. And obviously with these flower buttons, we're feeling spring, right? But I also feel like, you know, it's got these beautiful speckles of like yellow and green kind of throughout. I hope you can kind of get the full kind of extent of all the different colors. I had so much fun kind of knitting this, and every time like a little green speckle would appear, I get so excited for some reason because there's not that many of them. So when they do come, it's like, ooh, a little pop of color. So yeah, I just feel like there's definitely autumnal vibes, and I feel like I'm going to get a lot of wear out of this. Like also when we're kind of coming out of summer in like March-ish time, March, April, when winter kind of hasn't hit yet. I feel like May is when it gets really cold in Australia. So yeah, I'm definitely getting a lot of wear out of it now because our weather has been overall pretty good for the past month or so. There's been some down days and some cold days and some rainy days, but we've seen 20 degrees and over, so that is like huge, especially considering a lot of that was during August, which is pretty crazy. So yeah, I'm kind of like, I'm already in the spring vibe at the moment, and yeah, this cardigan has just like come at the perfect time. So yeah, I also feel like first for this was first boucle, as I said. Interesting to work with, takes getting used to. Like I'm not going to sugarcoat it definitely takes getting used to. It's just a different like type of yarn, and I probably wouldn't recommend it for beginners because yeah, it's just like you can't really read your stitches very well, which I think is a very important thing to be able to do when you're a beginner. And if the yarn is preventing you from doing that, then you're never going to learn. And it's like just is quite hard to count your rows, and you have to have like, I feel like a pretty good grasp on like reading stitches and understanding your knitting to be able to like count rows in boucle. Like it's not easy. So it's definitely a challenge. And then also the yarn itself is just different and just not the most accessible for beginners. But if you are an experienced knitter and you want something with like a really fun, you know, kind of cozy, fluffy, teddy-like texture, it's just like also, you know, like I said, like the stitch definition isn't great, but that's almost like really what I like about it, because you can just get like a really beautiful fabric that doesn't like, you can't tell if your tension isn't perfect. It's kind of where I'm getting at this. Like the stitch definition isn't so clear to the point where you can see every single stitch that, you know, might have a slightly looser or tighter tension. It's just like, it just creates a really, really nice fabric, especially after blocking. I was a bit worried like the ribbing wouldn't really show, but it's subtle, definitely subtle, but I did a 2x2 rib just so that it would be a bit more, you know, the difference between the knits and the purls would be a bit more clear. And yeah, like you can definitely see it, but it's not, like I said, it's not super drastic. And then another first is that I actually designed this using some German short rows at the back. I can like swivel around and hopefully you can kind of see, but I actually hope you can't see because that's the point. As you can see, maybe you can see kind of along here. Oh, it's a bit hard for me to see. Along here, yeah, like around there. That's kind of where they happen. But the idea is that they're kind of invisible, and it creates a very invisible seam from the back to the front. And yeah, especially with the boucle, I'm very, very happy with how it turned out. I am a little bit nervous to like grade it because I've never designed for German short rows. So even like figuring out how to do them on my sample was like one thing. So I feel like having to like kind of go back and look at my notes and then like apply that to different sizes is gonna be not the thing I'm looking forward to the most. Put it that way. Probably the main reason I've semi-procrastinated on getting this written up, even though, I mean, like I did only finish it like a week and a half ago. So it's okay. We're not in full procrastination mode yet. Like I think as long as I get it started this week, like even maybe today, if I can, my brain can, you know, we'll see. But even if I can just get the spreadsheet done, like just the general grading or just starting that, I think then that will help me, because right now it's just like a really daunting task to grade this cardigan. But once I've kind of started, I usually kind of get on a roll and then we're okay. So hoping to get that started this week and then have a testing call out as soon as I can kind of get a good sense of all the measurements and the yarn estimations and stuff. Even if I haven't finished writing the pattern, I might just get a testing call out just so that people have time to, you know, apply and stuff. But obviously once it's written, I'm still going to need to get it tech edited. So there's still probably going to be a couple of weeks before it's ready for testing, because it just also just depends on how long everything takes me. If I've learned anything from my last pattern, which was the Heartstopper tee, is that, you know, some patterns take longer than others, and that one took much longer than I anticipated. So yeah, I feel like I'm not kind of setting any specific time frames right now, because it could be a really quick process in the end and it could actually just be a long process. So I don't know, but I'm hoping to get this out into testing as soon as possible so that I can release it. I feel like, am I gonna be able to release it, you know, while the weather is still like this? Like probably not, but at the same time, it's the kind of thing that like if I can get this out when it's winter or almost winter in the Northern Hemisphere, this is like how my brain works, then people can knit it during the winter and then wear it in the spring, right? And also wear it in the autumn for us here in Australia. So it'll be fine, basically, is what I'm trying to say, because the most exhausting thing as a designer is trying to time pattern releases with seasons, especially when you live in the Southern Hemisphere, because honestly, there's no way to do it that, you know, includes everyone. And it's really hard when things take time, like testing takes time, and you might have to extend the deadline, and you also just might take a long time to write the pattern, and then by the time you get it out, you're like at the end of the season, and then you're like, oh my God. But then also when people are gonna make the pattern, it's gonna take them time, and it's just like, I don't anymore. I can't be bothered anymore. I can't be bothered doing it because it's too hard, and there's honestly pretty much no way to guarantee that you'll time the release right, and I don't even know if it matters that much. So yeah, I'm just gonna get this out as soon as I can, basically. So keep on the lookout for that. I've rambled enough about it. It's unnamed right now, so if you have any ideas, I'm not sure if I want to name it something spring related. I know with the flower buttons and it's giving spring, but at the same time, I don't know if I want to like box it in to one specific season, you know? So we'll see. I really don't know. I could honestly name this anything because it's a pretty basic design, which I don't always do, but I felt like it was time to just do something simple and classic and with a cute little split hem, and it's actually a bit longer than I would normally go. So yeah, overall, this is kind of A very, you know, simple staple, but I feel like it's still fun and exciting, and also just like, for me as a designer, like pushing myself, like doing the German short row shaping and stuff, like just trying. I don't know if you've noticed, but like with some of my more recent designs, it's also worked from the top down, which I've never done with a cardigan. So I'm just trying to like really, you know, push myself out of my comfort zone, I guess, and like try, you know, new things that maybe have scared me. Like I'm really hoping going into summer to maybe design something with like negative ease, because I've never really done that. Maybe like a cute tank top, because I love making them and I love wearing them, but I've always been too scared to design one. So, you know, I'm really just trying to push myself, but it does kind of mean that I'm a bit slower in the design process and in the pattern writing process, etc., because I'm not on like autopilot, if that makes sense. So yeah, anyway, I think that's going to be me talking about this. That's going to be done for that, because I've already been filming this for like 25 minutes and I'm still yet to talk about anything else. So I'm going to get a move on. Next up is a pair of socks that the first pair I think took me like 2 days to make, and then the second pair probably took me a month. So that's not a tale as old as time. I don't know what is, but I'm very excited. I actually should check the name of the pattern, but I'll show you the socks first and then I'll just quickly grab my book to make sure I get the name of the pattern right. But these are a pattern from the Summerly sock project book, which I feel like I have said for every single pair of socks that I've made this year, or pretty much since I got the book, which was early this year. I just, what am I gonna do? Buy a new sock pattern every time I wanna make socks when I have a book full of like 25 sock patterns? Like, obviously I'm just gonna use the book. Like, it's honestly such a genius book, and I'm not surprised it's done so well, because I just feel like you have kind of almost everything you need in there, unless you want, you know, something specific. But even then I feel like I have so much in there that I can take from, and then if I want to create my own, you know, design or, you know, something interesting, I can kind of just use that as a foundation. So yeah, it's honestly like such a great book, and I got it for such a good price. I think I only got it for like $30 because it was on sale when I pre-ordered it. So honestly, incredible investment. But yeah, these are my socks. It's one of her cable sock patterns, so forgive me for forgetting the name, but I just want to make sure I get it right. It could be the Harriet socks, but it also might not. So I just want to double check, but I'll just quickly show you before I do that. So hopefully the camera is doing the camera thing that it's supposed to do and focusing. But yeah, it's this gorgeous cable pattern. My first time using cables on a sock. Also my first time doing a little contrast color. I was fully meant to do that for the heel as well, and then just completely forgot, and I was like a good chunk through the gusset and I was like, I don't want to unravel this. So I just was like, oh well, it's just going to be a contrast toe, because I did buy a mini to go with this and I didn't want to, you know, I didn't want that to go to waste. So yeah, this is what we ended up with. The yarn is from Jocomomo Textiles Fibres. I should check, hold on. Jocomomo Textiles, I knew that. I got these at the Australian Yarn Show in Canberra. And yeah, it's this beautiful colorway that I believe was like raspberry shortcake or something. Oh my god, I'm horrible at remembering this. I can probably just check, just give me a second. Firstly, I was correct about the name. They are the Harriet socks. So I actually ended up using a pretty similar color to what was in the book, the sample, and it's from Jocomomo Textiles in the colorway Raspberry Sherbet. And I can't find the label for the mini, but it was, you know, an orange solid. So I don't know, not that crazy complicated, but yeah, this is the sock. Really, really fun cable design, not too crazy as well. Something that I feel like I could just kind of do pretty mindlessly. It was just, you know, a simple cable, you know, every couple of rows with some knits and pearls, very consistent throughout. So still a knit that I could, you know, take on the go with me. And yeah, just like a really fun project, and definitely one that I hyper fixated on for like I said, 2 days. Managed to finish one of these, and then the second one took a bit longer because, you know, it's not as fun knitting something for the second time, but yeah, did still manage to finish these in, you know, like a month overall. So very, very happy and just so much fun. Love wearing them. I've already worn them a few times, so they're not in like absolute perfect condition right now because they have been worn, but yeah, Really, really, really love these, and I've already casted on my next pair of socks from the book, which I will show you later in the video. Next up is a piece that I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it's funny to reveal it because I've already worn it in several videos. I've worked on it in several videos, it feels like, so I'm not probably going to spend that much time on it, also because I'm just conscious of how long this video is going to be, but it is honestly it's my favorite thing I've made in a hot minute. It is just, I'm so excited about it. It is my beautiful, gorgeous, stunning Semper sweater, V-neck. I am fully conscious of the fact that it is not going to show very well on camera, so I'm going to turn off the ring light so you can really see the color better. But oh my god, it's just, red is so difficult to really, like, I guess, photograph or video. Like, it just, in certain lightings, it just gets so overexposed, and I feel like you really can't appreciate the true color of this. So I'm sorry if it's, you know, not looking perfect, but I feel like this is definitely better than, see, when I turn, like, can you see how that happens? Like, you can't even see the ribbing, like, disappears on the camera. It's crazy. Hopefully there you can see. But even then, it still looks way brighter on camera. Oh my goodness. Yeah, the red just throws all the lighting off. So I'm sorry, but yeah, it's a really beautiful color. Can you just, like, take my word for it, I guess. The pattern is by the Knit Purl girl. It's the first one I've ever made from her, but I've been wanting to make one of her designs for so long, so I am so happy that I finally did and that I chose this pattern. I did modify it a little bit. I made the back longer than the front and did a split hem, which is becoming, you know, my new favorite thing apparently, to do a split hem. It's normally just, you know, knit entirely in the round. There's no, you know, obviously difference between the front and the back lengths, and I think the original pattern is considerably longer, which is nothing new here for me in terms of making things shorter than they are originally intended to be in the pattern, but there's no rules here. So anyway, I'm so happy with how it turned out. I think it just creates this really, really beautiful relaxed fit that I wanted, where I can kind of get that extra length of the back, but then still kind of have that cropped look that I just think looks better on me. And that split hem just made it really easy to kind of adjust things as I went and make decisions about the length and not have to, like, unravel an entire round of ribbing. So that was really good. And yeah, the yarn that I used, I bought when I was in Perth a couple of months ago. It's from Knitting for Olive. I used their merino. I think it's just merino, Knitting for Olive merino, their fingering weight merino. I have a little bit left over here. This is it, and then held together with their soft silk mohair, both in the colorway Red Currant, and it's just honestly the most beautiful thing I've ever made. It feels like, or it just feels so like luxurious and soft and expensive, because it was expensive. I try not to think about that too much because I've honestly gotten so much wear out of this so far that, like, the cost per wear is, like, so worth it. And I'm really happy that I, like, opted to go for the mohair and not just get, like, a DK weight merino, because yeah, even though that would have been more economic, because they did have, I bought this at a beautiful shop in Perth called Calico and Ivy, that was the name. And they had a really incredible selection of, like, Nordic yarns that I would literally travel across the world to buy and was able to get in Australia, which is crazy. But yeah, they had a beautiful selection of Knitting for Olive as well as Sandnes yarn, and they had this Sunday, petite knit Sunday yarn, which I was looking at getting. They also had a beautiful red colorway, but it was just like a slightly different red to this, slightly brighter, more orangey red than this. And it just wasn't what I wanted. This was the color that I wanted. And so if I wanted this color, I basically had to use, you know, the mohair and the merino to get the right gauge. At the time, I actually didn't know what I was gonna make, but I knew it was gonna be something with a DK weight. So whether or not that was a mohair and a fingering weight held together or just a DK weight yarn, I didn't know. But yeah, it wasn't very long before I ended up deciding on making this one because it fit perfectly for what I wanted to make. And I think this took me like a month. This was like another hyperfixation project. It was a bit more time consuming, and also I just think I was working on other things at the same time, so that's probably why it took me a bit longer. But yeah, this was about a month of knitting. I'm so proud. Oh my God, this is, it's so difficult. It's so difficult to get this right. Oh my God, I'm not even gonna try. Anyway, you guys have seen me wear this hopefully in the last couple of videos, and also on my Instagram. This is one project I definitely have shown. So yeah, highly recommend the pattern. Sophie writes incredible patterns, so well written. I could go on and on, but yeah, and I'm really happy that I made it because it's honestly been one of my most worn pieces since I finished it, and I'm so excited to continue to wear it throughout the spring because it's just like that perfect weight of yarn that isn't too hot but not too cold, especially with the V-neck. Sometimes if it's a bit colder outside, I'll wear it with like a turtleneck underneath, like a, you know, like a turtleneck long sleeve tight top, but then if it's, you know, not as cold outside, I'll just wear it with like a singlet underneath and I can kind of have my neck bare, and you know, that makes it not too hot. And yeah, it's just like the perfect piece to wear, especially to my new job, which is kind of like smart casual vibe. So I've been wearing it to that quite a bit, and yeah, I just love it. So yeah, very excited about that one. Okay, next finished object, and I think this is the last one, is one that I'm like honestly hesitant to show because I mean I've already shown it because I finished it in one of my vlogs, but like I'm just like not entirely happy with how it turned out, and I'm not really sure what to do with it, so I'm just kind of putting it on hold until I can kind of come to it with like a fresh headspace and a good headspace, if that makes sense. So anyway, this is my also unnamed quarter zip jumper that at first glance you might be thinking, Jamie, what's wrong with this? Like, there's nothing wrong with this. This looks great. I just am not very happy with how the collar turned out, basically. I could go into a million reasons why, but I don't really want to go into highlighting all the negative things about it because I'm trying to like see the positives of this. I'm not trying to like, you know, make my negative feelings about this even worse. But yeah, just don't love the fit of this, and I don't know if it's the yarn I used or, you know, I might have just made this too big. It's just really hard when it's worked top down that like fixing this kind of thing is just something that would require unraveling everything, and so it's just not the best situation. I don't mind how it fits when it's like folded over like this, so you know, I can definitely wear it, and you know, that could just be kind of what it is, but it just wasn't my intention to have like, it wasn't meant to be like a polo, it wasn't meant to like have like a folded collar. I was kind of going for like the Eras Tour quarter zip but knit version basically, like in terms of at least the top half and how that kind of sits, and I don't know where I went wrong, but somehow it ended up being quite a lot bigger, and it just doesn't have that structure that like sits up nicely when it's unzipped, and especially when zipped it just flails around. I just don't like it. Anyway, I'm trying not to focus on the negatives, but yeah, it doesn't look too bad when I do it like this, but this isn't really what I was going for. So anyway, I did do like a proper drop shoulder, similar to how I did it with this, but no German short rows, just increases. But that was also kind of something new for me, and figuring out, you know, how to like match that with the front section, and I don't know, it was just once again a bit of a challenge and required quite a bit of frogging already. Like this, I've frogged this so many times. So that's why I like the idea of, you know, either making a second sample is also kind of torturous, but also even just frogging this one. I just don't want to do it. I really don't want to do it. So anyway, we'll see what happens with it. It's a shame because I love the yarn. It's one of my favorite yarns I've worked with. It's called Snefnag from Kama Rose. I bought it in Copenhagen last year. It's in this beautiful color. I think it's Coral is the name of the colorway. It's gorgeous orange. I've been in such an orange moment this past year. I mean, like you could see with those socks, and obviously with the Heartstopper tee. I've just been obsessed with orange, and so it was like a really, really fun piece, and it's one that I've actually had in my mind for a very long time. It's one that I originally sketched out at the end of last year. I submitted it for something that it didn't end up getting selected for. I ended up still getting selected for the thing, which I will be able to talk about soon, but I just ended up getting selected with a different design. So I kind of had this that was already sketched out and planned, and I had swatched for it and everything, and I had all the yarn, and then I just kind of put it on hold for a while, and then I was like, all right, I think I'm ready to come to this, and then I was like fully gonna write this pattern up, and then just the sample just didn't come out how I wanted to. And I honestly should just make a second sample, I know that, but like the yarn wasn't cheap, and like having to buy more, especially in Australia, is not gonna be any cheaper, because if I wanna get that specific yarn, it's gonna be marked up. So I just have to, yeah, I just have to decide what I want to do with this, if I want to just, you know, adjust the pattern and not make a second sample, but I really want to be able to photograph it exactly how I want it. So yeah, it's just a struggle, and it's not one that I encounter very often. Like usually I'm able to kind of salvage a sample gone wrong before it's finished so that I don't have to make a second sample before writing a pattern. But sadly, I don't know if this one is going to be salvageable without frogging. So We will see. Worst case scenario, I might just be able to frog the collar and make it work, but I don't know. Anyway, that's where this is at. I do really love the bottom. It's got elastic sewn in and this like folded, you know, hem knitted and folded and sewn, bound off over the elastic, and it's got like a really nice kind of athleisure vibe, which is what I was going for. So it is really comfy and cozy, and it like sits really comfortably around your waist. So overall it was like almost there. It just was the collar that really messed things up for me. So a bit sad about this one. Kind of just gonna focus on getting this pattern written up, and then I kind of will have to just see. I might not get around to this until honestly maybe next year. Like I might just have to take like a good long break from it so that I can come back to it, you know, without those lingering emotions, because I still have them even though it's been already kind of a few months since I finished this. So yeah, that's the current state of this finished object and where I'm at with it. All right, on to the whips. I'm going to just bring these closer in reach. I'm honestly not showing any of these in a particular order, by the way. I think with those I definitely went backwards from most recent to least recent, so that wasn't intentional, but I'm just going to pick these up based on whenever I see them and when they're most accessible to me. So we're going to start with this one, second most recent out of these. I started a new pair of socks basically as soon as I finished those other ones. This is once again just the basic heel flap and gusset sock from the Summerlee book, the same one that I did, not the most recent socks that I just showed you, but one of the other pairs that I did that I probably would have shown in the last podcast. But this time I'm doing a contrasting heel. I will do a contrasting toe when I get there, and a contrasting cuff. So we're changing up a little bit. We're trying to make things a bit more interesting. I also got some new needles. I could go into a whole tangent about the needle drama I've had recently. I'm gonna say it really quickly, as quick as I can. Basically, the needles that I usually use were my 2mm C-knit needles, like the KA C-knit ones. I've had those for about a year. I've used them on every pair of socks that I've ever made, and then rocked up to our knitting meetup last Saturday. So excited to work on my socks, and I pull out my project out of my bag, and the needle had just like completely come off the cord. Like no explanation on how that happened, just completely came off, and there was no way of me reattaching it. So that was very sad. Luckily I was able to borrow a pair of needles during the meetup so I could actually work on something, because otherwise I would have had nothing to knit at a knitting meetup, which would have been tragic. So I was able to borrow a pair, and then after that, we went to Wool Bar, because I was like, I want to get a new pair of needles ASAP, and I had a look online, and they were firstly 5 minutes from where we were. I'd actually never been there before as well, so that was cool. And they had 2mm needles in stock, so I was like, I'm just going to go there, because they're not always the easiest to find, and this is 5 minutes from here, and I just want to keep working on my socks, because those were the only 2mm that I had. So went to Wool Bar, and I bought these, which I'm currently using, but I also bought a pair of shorties, like those little tiny, I think it's like 23cm ones with the like tiny little needles. Like the needle itself is like what, half the size of this. So a very different experience, and something that I've been a bit against doing for a while, but also like tempted, because I'm not like the Magic Loop's biggest fan, but I'm also like not the Magic Loop's biggest hater, and I'm not about to start using DPNs. That's like so inconvenient to me. So I was like, maybe I could actually get around this shorty thing. It's just going to be something that I need to get used to doing, which is a bit annoying, but you know, maybe it'll be worth it, because everyone who uses them, I feel like swears by them and loves them. So I was like, maybe this could be me. This could be my journey. Like I could be a shorty knitter. So I also bought a pair of shorties. They actually were the same brand, the C-knits, which are supposed to be amazing, but not from my experience, at least not the 2mm ones. I'm sure maybe their bigger needles are a bit more, I don't know, they just hold up a bit better. But yeah, I bought the 2mm bamboo C-knit shorties because I like to knit socks on the plane. I don't have any flights coming up for, actually that's a lie. I'm going on a flight next month, but it's going to be a very short flight because it's just to Hobart from Melbourne, which is very, very short, probably an hour. But I am flying to Perth in January. So anyway, just in general, when I go on flights, no matter how long, I like to knit socks. And I am yet to attempt to bring a metal needle on the plane. And I don't really want to, because I don't want to risk them getting taken. And I've never had an issue with bamboo or wood needles. So I was like, you know, these are all good and well. And I'm happy to have like one with a super long cord. Makes it very, very easy to do Magic Loop. But at the same time, I want to have an option of using bamboo needles on a plane so that I can knit on the plane. So I was like, I'm going to get both. not even a week after buying the shorties, I'm just kind of getting the hang of it, right? Like, it's taking me some time. I was like, I can't knit these continental because my hands were getting cramped, so I was having to knit English style, and I was like slowly making my way through the socks. And I was at work and things were really quiet, and so I was able to kind of get a bit of knitting done, which is, by the way, like totally allowed and encouraged by my, you know, boss and co-workers. They all do not mind. I still get all the work that needs to be done, but sometimes there's times where there's nothing to do, so I'm allowed to knit in those times, obviously. And so I'm just like chipping away at my sock, and I don't even know what I did. I just moved my hand slightly, or maybe it was a tiny bit aggressive, but in my mind, I don't know how aggressive I could have been because I'm just knitting socks. Like, there's not that much movement involved, but snapped right off. And I was like, are you kidding me? It's been less than a week. It had been less than a week since I bought them. And I was like, this is a sign that shorties is not my journey. It's not my journey. It's not my story. I can't deal. So I was absolutely devastated, honestly. Luckily, I still had these, so I can still obviously knit on these. And I ended up ordering a pair of the Knit Pro 2mm because I do use my Symphony set. Like, I use the Knit Pro Symphonies all the time, but the set only goes down to a 3.5. And I actually didn't know they made a 2mm or a 3mm needle. I think I probably assumed they made a 3mm, but I was like, why is it not in the set? And I only have one pair of 3mm needles, and the cord is pretty short. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy a pair of 2 and 3mm needles. They aren't interchangeable, so I can't use them with my set, but they both have, like, I can't remember if I got 80 or 100 centimeter cords. I think probably 80. I could go and reach over. They're sitting on my bed right now. They just arrived in the mail yesterday, but I'm too lazy. I think they were 80 centimeters. Long cords, basically. And so now I have those. I'm yet to try them, but I use, like I said, I use the Symphonies all the time, so I'm sure they'll be fine. So that's been my journey with the needles. I can't, in good conscience, recommend the C-knits, and I'm very sad to say that because I know that a lot of people love them. I try really hard to find Clovers, but the Clover don't come in the shorties, and then I was just like, oh, I may as well just get the Knit Pros. But I do have a Clover Takumi, that my 3mm are Clover Takumi, and I love those. So I'm sure at some point I'll be buying more Clovers. They're just not the easiest to get in Australia. So anyway, oh my God, I said this was gonna be a short tangent, and of course it was not. But anyway, that's been my journey with 2mm needles. So here we are. But yeah, the colorways I'm using, by the way, the main color is, do I censor myself? We're very far into this video, so I think it's okay. So hopefully don't get like demonetized for this. Maybe I won't risk it. F the Patriarchy is the name of the colorway. Yeah, it's by Wool & Works. It's from the Barbie collection, which I'm sure you can understand. So that's this beautiful brown, pink and white variegated gorgeousness. And the contrast colors, I believe, are Greta and Blonde Fragility. Also from the Barbie collection. I had a bunch of minis that Chloe had given me, which was very kind of her. I was originally going to use all these minis together to make like a colorwork socks, but I'm just not ready for colorwork socks yet. And these colors both just went so perfectly with the skein of the the skein of F the Patriarchy that I bought when she did her in-stock update. So I decided to go for a little contrasting cuff, heel and toe moment. So I think I'm going to do the toe probably in the pink. I think that's my plan, is to have the heel and the toe match, but we'll see. Maybe I'll decide to do the cream. I don't really know, but yeah, that's what I'm using. This is the full cake, as you can see. It's got a lot more brown than I think originally I thought, but I don't know, I like it. I've never really knit in brown, but I feel like, you know, the pops of pink are enough for me to not consider this a neutral. But yeah, this is definitely, I feel like with this and this, I'm like, this is as neutral as it's gonna get for me. Actually, that's a lie, because one of the whips I'm about to show you is just like plain creamy white. So maybe not, but that one's also gonna have a pop of color. I'll talk about it soon. So anyway, I don't know, maybe I'm on my neutral journey. Probably not, let's be real. If you've seen my stash of yarn and, you know, my yarn shelf, then you'd know that, yeah, neutral and me, they don't really go in the same sentence, but anyway. Almost there. 2 more projects, and I'm gonna try and talk about them a bit quicker. I had a bunch of swatches I wanted to show you as well, which I might still quickly show at the end, but anyway. Next up is my Fern pullover, which I haven't picked up for a hot minute because As you can see, we ventured onto Sleeve Island, and my stay at Sleeve Island I think is going to be quite an extended stay because I don't know. And also with the weather getting warmer now, I don't really have a ton of motivation to knit this, but I'm sure once I start seeing everyone's jumpers that they are starting to make as the weather gets colder on the other side of the world, I'm going to do that thing that I do every year where I get really like influenced by my feed and I forget what season I'm in, and all I want to make is pieces that are completely inappropriate for the weather that I'm currently experiencing. So I'm sure I will come back to this at some point because it is amazing and beautiful, but I have to be in the right mood for cables. It's just not something I can just do. It took me so long before I was ready to knit this because I think it had been like a year since I'd done cables, and I don't know, it's a lot. So anyway, but this is, the Fern Pullover from Cable Knit Style by Knitwear by Joan, Joanne Ho. It's the piece that's on the cover of the book. So if you've seen the book, it's over there. I could reach for it, but I feel like I've shown it enough times. You guys know, and you can look it up, and you can find it, and you can buy it because I highly recommend it. It's a beautiful book, and she's actually coming out with another book next year, which I may or may not have seen a little preview of. Maybe, and I can confirm that one is also beautiful. So yeah, she's incredibly talented, and this piece is it's so much fun. So it's as I said, the Fern Pullover. I'm hoping that the ring light is really doing this justice. Once again, not sure if it is. I think it's struggling with the colors that's happening right now. But yeah, I'm using Wool in the Gang, Alpacino Merino, one of my favorite yarns from them, probably my favorite. I'm using the colorways Powder Blue and Eucalyptus Green. I just was not confident in the amount of yarn that I had available on me, because when I got the yarn, it was actually gifted to me, by the way, both of these. When I had the sweater quantity of Powder Blue gifted, I just kind of gave it an estimate of how many skeins I'd use for a jumper. I think at the time I thought I was going to design something, and then I ended up deciding not to do that and just to use this yarn to make this jumper because this is the recommended yarn. But I didn't have enough skeins. Even though I did shorten it, I was still just worried that I wasn't gonna have enough and really didn't want to end up running out. So I decided to use what I had left over of the Eucalyptus Green, which I had used on my Somewhere Over the Raglan jumper. I decided to use that for the ribbing instead. But basically, this is how much I have left. Not a lot at all. And I still have to do both sleeve cuffs. So I think I've gotten myself into a bit of a predicament. It's like so annoying. I still have 3, almost 4 skeins left of the blue. So something tells me I actually may end up having enough blue, but this was knitted bottom up. So this green ribbing here at the bottom was made at the very beginning. This is easy because this is picked up, so that's not a problem. And obviously the sleeves, the cuffs will be the last thing I do. So I'm not really sure what to do. I think I'm just gonna keep going. I probably won't knit the cuffs, like I'll knit both sleeves and just keep the stitches on hold and won't knit the cuffs yet, and then just see how much yarn I end up having left. And if I have even like 1 skein left, because I had like less than 1 skein of the green. So if I have like a full skein of the blue, I reckon I will have enough to knit the ribbing in the blue, because that's what it was originally meant to be. It's all meant to be one color. And I think I'll like the look of that better, but I just really didn't want to risk it. But I think I've ended up putting myself into a more annoying predicament because I'm going to end up having to do some surgery. So unless I just knit the cuffs in blue, but I just feel like having the bottom and the neck in green and then the cuffs in blue just might look a bit off, but also maybe it won't. I don't know. I think I'll just need to see. I'll need to see how I go. But worst case scenario, I can unravel this and just redo the neckline in the blue. That's not going to be difficult because it's just picked up. So everything's, not an issue. This is going to be the main issue because, like I said, this is worked bottom up. So I think we need to do some surgery. I just have to figure out how to frog this from the bottom and then put the stitches, the live stitches on my needle somehow, and then work the ribbing from the top down, or I could work the ribbing bottom up and then Kitchener stitch. That could work. I don't know. Yeah, it's possible. So I'm not, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but it will be annoying. But hopefully not that annoying because it is bulky weight yarn, so things could be worse. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with this. So I think once I ran out, or almost ran out of green, that kind of also like made me a bit sad and not want to think about this project. So yeah, that's currently where we're at. But obviously look at these cables, like they're absolutely stunning, so intricate, so much fun. And it's knit on a 6.5mm needle, which is definitely like smaller than I would normally use. I would normally use a 7 or an 8 for this yarn. So the tension is nice and tight and the cables look really, really clean and beautiful. And it'll be, I think, a really, really nice, cozy, warm jumper to wear next year. But if you are about to go into winter, I would recommend this as something to make for this winter. So yeah, that's this one. Last actual project that I'm going to share with you, and this is the first time I'm talking about this project, so I'm very excited because I actually only started it a few days ago, but I made so much progress on it yesterday when I was at work because it was really, really quiet. I'm using a paper clip as a stitch marker because I ended up joining in the round while I was at work and I didn't have any stitch markers on me, so I just used a paper clip that I found at work. I'll definitely need to return that. This is what I'm making, so I'll give my quick little backstory. So this is the Cleo top by Rust Knitwear, Simone from Rust Knitwear. This is the front page of the pattern. It comes with a bunch of different necklines. There's a V-neck, a U-neck, and an O-neck. I'm doing the O-neck version. I'm using just bare yarn from Woolen Works in her DK base, her new DK base I've never actually used before, but I'm really enjoying. Obviously, I haven't done the neckline yet or the sleeve trims, but hopefully you can get a sense for what this is. It's a very basic tank top, but it was perfect for what I was looking for because it obviously calls for DK weight yarn. The different neckline options made it like really, really good because I could just pick which one worked best for what I was going for, which is a recreation, I guess, of the tank top that Olivia Rodrigo wears in her Guts tour. If you have seen, at every show she wears this tank top with like these cute little like sparkly shorts, which I'm gonna have to figure out something because I'm gonna wear this to the Guts tour next month. So I am definitely doing well for time because I was able to get so much of this done yesterday. I'm making a version of the tank top that she wears, and every night she wears a tank top with like a different phrase on it, and it's usually like something kind of like funny or like sometimes related to the city that she's in or related to like song lyrics, or sometimes it's just like a cute phrase, but there was one phrase that caught my attention because it was so funny, and that was based on like the TikTok that went viral where there was that guy and he was reviewing her crumble cookie collaboration that she did, and he was like, holds up the cookie and he's like, Olivia Rodriguez, you know, the little Mexican girl that'd be crying. It's just like the funniest thing. And then he like takes a bite and he goes, 0 out of 10, funniest thing. And obviously she thought it was hilarious too. She did like a recreation of it. And she wore a tank top one night that said Olivia Rodriguez, just like in purple. So my plan is to finish knitting this in the white. I mean, I thought it was gonna be a bit more white than it is. It's kind of more cream, like whatever. And then once I'm done, I'm gonna duplicate stitch using a purple yarn that I'm yet to choose. Need to find something in the right weight of yarn and the right color that I want. Kind of like a darkish purple that kind of matches the Guts album cover. And I'm gonna duplicate stitch on the front Olivia Rodriguez, and then on the back, I'm hoping, I mean, I'll see if maybe it's a bit ambitious, but I'm hoping on the back to do the little Mexican girl that'd be crying. I think that's hilarious. I can already see the TikToks that I can make with it, and just in general, I think it'll be appreciated by other, you know, concert goers. So yeah, I thought that'd be a fun thing. And then also, like, the pro is that I can end up just undoing the duplicate stitch of it. That's why I'm not doing it as an intarsia or like Fair Isle moment. I'm just gonna duplicate stitch it on, so that way I can undo the duplicate stitch when the concert is over if I want, and then I can just have this as like a plain, you know, white cream-ish tank top to wear during summer, or I can duplicate stitch something else on it if I want. So the possibilities are endless, I guess. And yeah, I think it'll still be, you know, like a really functional part of my wardrobe after the concert, which is what we want. When we're knitting things for concerts, we ideally want them to be things we can wear again. I'm saying that as someone who knit a very unwearable thing for the Eras tour, but that was very special and holds a very special place in my heart and was incredibly fun to make. So no regrets there. At some point I'm gonna like
I'm gonna display it somewhere. Probably when I move out, I'll display it in my craft room or something. But anyway, that's the plan, and that's where we're currently at. Very excited about going to the Guts tour. Very grateful to have tickets because holy moly, it was not easy to get tickets for this concert. I would say it was harder than the Eras tour because I was able to get Eras tour tickets for 3 shows, and I'm lucky to have tickets for 1 show for this because it was so difficult, and I got very lucky that my brother managed to get through on the American Express pre-sale. I managed to get us 2 tickets. Very excited to be going and grateful to be able to attend, and I'm very excited because Olivia is definitely one of my favorite artists and this is her first time coming to Australia, so very, very excited for that, and yeah, excited to kind of do another handmade concert outfit. So that is all my current whips. I'll quickly finish off with just showing you, I guess, like a little sneak peek for some upcoming projects because I have some swatches. They are not finished. I mean, they're not blocked, so keep that in mind. But this is the swatch that I have done for the fluff along that is currently happening in our Melbourne knitting stitch collective. I don't even know what the name of it is anymore. We have an Instagram now, it's Melb Stitch Collective. And we're doing a little fluff along. There's like no real time frame for it. It did start like a week ago, but there's no real time frame on it, and there's no real rules other than that you need to be knitting something in fluffy yarn. So I ended up deciding to join because I did have plans to cast on something using this beautiful Chink Fibre Melted Baby Suri yarn, and it's in these beautiful colorways. Oh, you see, that's the thing, is that I'm not going to remember the name. I think it's like foam and champagne, I think is the yellow. Foam, hope. I will check after this and I will put them on the screen. I'm so sorry. I'm just so lazy to get up and look at the labels. I know it's terrible, but anyway, these beautiful colorways, all very, you know, once again, spring pastel vibes. Maybe I'll try again with yeah, I think it honestly shows better without the ring light, but whatever. Anyway, these are the colors that I've chosen. I'm actually like striping there, but you can't really even tell that it's striped because the colors, the variegated colorway has so much of the other 2 colorways kind of built into it that I feel like it kind of looks like just one big variegated colorway, which we love. And the plan is to do a vest of some sort. So I'm definitely gonna be casting this on soon. Once I've blocked the swatch and I've gotten, you know, my official gauge, I'm definitely gonna cast this on because I think it will be such a fun knit to have in spring/summer. So yeah, okay, I have 4 minutes until my camera battery is gonna die. So I'm gonna speed through this. The next thing is that I bought some Cascade yarn from my friend Phoebe. She was doing a de-stash. It was very, very cheap considering how much the yarn actually cost and how much yarn she was selling. So I bought a sweater quantity of the Cascade 220 yarn, which is this beautiful Aran weight yarn I got 3 colors, pink, white and red, and I don't know the colorway names. I don't think they have names, but anyway, and I'm gonna make something, I don't know what, but I did 2 swatches. I did one in stripes. I haven't blocked it yet. And I did a gingham one, which honestly, I feel like is more work than what it is worth. So I may not end up actually doing it, but it was fun to do the swatch. Please let me know which one you prefer. I'm definitely gonna design something. Yeah, this is me just like on speed mode. Yeah, I need to block these, and I just have like cast on fever right now, so that's kind of where we're at. But anyway, okay, I think I got through everything. Please leave a comment letting me know what you're working on because I love to see, and I just want to know, it makes me feel more connected to you if I know what you guys are knitting, because now you know what I'm knitting, so I want to know what you're knitting. Also, if you have just like anything to say about any of the projects that I showed, please let me know in the comments. If you like this video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe if you're not already, make sure to follow me on Instagram, make sure to check out my patterns. Yeah, okay, now I think I've said all the things. Okay, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.